to the judiciary. Again, under OGP NAP number 7,
leaders came together on the sidelines of UNGA and established, they believed at that time, Your Excellency, that there was need to bridge this gap. Your Excellency, you took leadership of this process when you were Deputy President of the Republic, and hence, 13 years ago, citizens with access to information would be much more empowered. That is true. It's determined that one of the biggest threats facing the world today and facing democracies, we are seeing technology, particularly the weaponization of artificial intelligence within the platform that is known as the Open Government Partnership.
Beneficial ownership to enhance transparency and accountability in business. And this work is collaborative, it's co-created, it is cooperative. But also enhance youth inclusion, transparency, and accountability.
So maybe I shall start with the first commitment in the action plan, which is a brand new commitment that national framework for that, and this commitment aims to deliver that. But it goes a bit further and includes fiscal in play, is not a subject of misinformation, but is subject to evidence that is available. And open contracting, a lot of these commitments have made it this far because they had an enabling framework around them.
That bill has gone through all the stages in Parliament. It is now at the second stage. If we can be able to run away with it as government, we will see very minimal of the kind.
The first commitment in the action plan, which is a brand new commitment that made it into the framework in this fifth action plan, and that's our commitment on climate action. As you are all well aware, this is one of the largest crises that is facing our planet, and we are seeing the results of that in our own country. So promoting participatory development and enhancing transparent monitoring of conservation interventions, making sure that the data and the technologies that are being used are responsive, is a big part of this commitment on climate action. The next commitment is on digital governance. Your Excellency, this administration has been very ambitious in rolling out digital services. We now have thousands of digital services rolled out by national government agencies as well as county governments. This commitment seeks to put in place the enabling environment to ensure that we have inclusive, secure, trustworthy digital services and that are supported by the right policy environment. And this is also a brand new commitment within the OGP action plan framework that the country has been implementing. The third is the Open Data for Development commitment. This is the third time that we are rolling over. It has had some commitments before and some milestones have been achieved. This is led by the Kenya Space Agency, so you have strong support and strong presence from the Department of Defense, which is a new institution within the context of OGP. And we have a lot of commitments there that really strengthen the proactive disclosure of data, especially around budgets, expenditures, GIS information, all of this to support increased accountability and participation and address the issues that we are facing as a country, as Carol mentioned, on bridging that trust deficit. The fourth is on beneficial ownership transparency, and this is an advancement of existing work under your leadership and the leadership of the Business Registration Service, Attorney General's Office. We were able to get to a beneficial ownership legal framework, and this now puts us in a situation where we can advance our ambitions around beneficial ownership so that the ownership of institutions and the people behind the contracts becomes less invisible as part of our efforts to build trust and accountability. Our fifth commitment is on open contracting. Again, This is an advancement of work that has been going on. I'd like to recognize the advancements that have been done already by the National Treasury, the work that is being currently done around the Electronic Government Procurement System, EGP. This commitment brings a global standard on open contracting to the EGP system to make the data more available, more consumable, and also to bring around more stakeholders on the public procurement transparency framework. So this is an important commitment, just as the others are, but it does build on very strong gains that have been made in the recent years. The sixth one is on public participation, legislative and fiscal openness. This is some of it is an existing commitment that we've worked on over the years with the leadership of Mzalendo and the Senate. It has some very ambitious commitments around putting in place a very strong legal framework for public participation in this country. We currently do not have a national framework for that, and this commitment aims to deliver that. But it goes a bit further and includes fiscal openness in the context of debt transparency. So, Your Excellency, this commitment supports your efforts and efforts of this administration to ensure that the conversation on debt and the amount of money that is in play is not a subject of misinformation, but is subject to evidence that is available. So the transparency around this is going to be an important part for the next few years. And commitment number 7, access to information. We have had great success with access to information because of the OGP. The Access to Information Act was a result of the work done by the OGP community in 2016. This Access to Information commitment advances this much further by ensuring that the regulations that have been passed, the enabling framework, is now supported by a more ambitious rollout across the country. And this includes the model laws that Carol alluded to and how they are eventually incorporated in our county governments. Our 8th is access to justice. As Carol mentioned, this commitment was birthed out of the COVID crisis and the fact that many could not access justice because of the restrictions that had to be in place to save all our lives. However, on the other side of that commitment, we realized that it was actually addressing issues that continued to plague citizens in their pursuit of justice. And this operationalizes the alternative justice systems policy and the legal aid framework. And it does aim to bring a bit more accountability and improved financing to the judiciary in order to make sure that access to justice reaches the most vulnerable of our populations, regardless of where they are, using all technologies and approaches that are appropriate. Our 9th commitment in this action plan is on resilience. Your Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, a lot of what I've talked about can sound very nice and very beautiful and probably be done within a year, and then we all go back to default settings. The access to justice commitment and the beneficial ownership and open contracting, a lot of these commitments have made it this far because they had an enabling framework around them. The government resilience, building open government resilience commitment ensures that we are not just putting in place commitments on paper, but we're also putting in place the institutions and the legal frameworks and the financing to make sure that we can continuously deliver on the promises we're making in the 5th Action Plan. Part of this includes the enactment of a framework to put in place a National Open Government Council, and it calls for the gazettement of a number of institutions. And across this 5th Action Plan, you will find that there are a lot of areas where support is needed from the Parliament of Kenya to make sure that we have the right legislation, to make sure that each one of these things can last beyond us all and serve the generations to come.
13 years ago, at UNGA, President Obama and 7 other leaders came together on the sidelines of UNGA and established the Open Government Partnership.
They were motivated by a sense of anxiety, an anxiety that they felt that there was an increasing lack of trust globally between citizens and their governments. And they believed at that time, Your Excellency, that there was need to bridge this gap. And to do that, it was their hypothesis that there was need for governments to address issues around transparency, accountability, citizen participation, and effective delivery of service. To attain that goal, Your Excellency, they felt very strongly that governments could not do it alone. In fact, they submitted that there was need for government to work together with civil society organizations, with academia, with private sector, to address this challenge. We are seeing technology, particularly the weaponization of artificial intelligence, serving a nefarious purpose. And so conversations are beginning around the need for regulatory regimes to be able to as well deal with some of these challenges. Your Excellency, those are some of the issues that animate discussions within the platform that is known as the Open Government Partnership.